Hello, brothers, and welcome to Sigma Old Man Channel. Power is not about speaking the loudest, it's about being so unshakable that others feel your presence even in silence. Ever noticed how some men don't need to puff out their chest, raise their voice, or dominate a room to command respect? They just exist. And somehow, people feel a shift in the atmosphere. That's the raw, unspoken power of a Sigma male. They don't seek attention, yet eyes follow them. They don't try to intimidate, yet people second-guess themselves around them. Here's a fact. Studies show that people naturally fear what they don't understand. And let's be honest, most people don't understand Sigma males at all. How do you deal with someone who doesn't play by society's rules, doesn't care about approval, and can vanish from your life without a second thought? You don't. You either respect them or feel threatened by them. Now let's break down exactly why Sigma males have this natural, almost effortless way of making people nervous without even trying. And no, it's not because they sit in dark corners plotting world domination, though let's be real, they totally could. Number one, they don't tolerate disrespect, even from powerful people. Most people bend when confronted by power. Whether it's a demanding boss, a high-status individual, or someone with influence, they adjust their tone, choose their words carefully, or even shrink themselves to avoid conflict. Sigma males don't. They meet power with unshakable self-respect, and that makes people, especially those who thrive on control, deeply uncomfortable. A powerful person is used to being feared or obeyed. They expect people to tiptoe around them, nod in agreement, or at least show some level of deference. But when a Sigma male doesn't flinch, doesn't rush to please, and doesn't act impressed, it throws them off balance. They're used to dominance being a one-way street, but a Sigma male refuses to play by that script. He doesn't challenge authority recklessly, nor does he act rebellious for the sake of it. He simply doesn't see status as a reason to tolerate disrespect. This is where things get tense. A powerful person might try to test him, subtle jabs, condescending tones, little acts of dominance. But none of it lands because Sigma males don't operate on insecurity. They don't need validation, approval, or permission to be themselves. They aren't trying to prove anything, which makes them the hardest type of person to manipulate. This resistance is what turns intimidation into frustration. Someone who thrives on control can't stand being around someone they can't control. Even in everyday situations, this trait stands out. A Sigma male won't entertain a rude manager, won't grovel for an opportunity, and won't let someone talk down to him just because they have status. If pushed too far, he'll either hold his ground with a calm, cutting response, or walk away without looking back. And that's the part that unnerves people the most. He's never desperate to stay in anyone's good graces. Power means nothing to him unless it's earned through real respect, and that makes those who rely on authority feel powerless in his presence. Number two, they don't need constant companionship. Most people crave constant interaction, even if it's just mindless small talk or scrolling through social media to feel connected. They need someone to text, call, or vent to because silence makes them restless. A Sigma male doesn't. He's perfectly fine being alone, not just for a few hours, but for days, weeks, even longer if necessary. His solitude isn't forced. It's his natural state, and that makes people who depend on social validation deeply uncomfortable. When someone is always surrounded by others, it's easy to avoid self-reflection. There's no need to sit with your own thoughts when you can drown them out with chatter, entertainment, or distractions. But when a Sigma male stands in front of them, completely at peace in his own company, it forces them to ask an unsettling question. Why can't I do that? His presence becomes a mirror, exposing their own discomfort with being alone. This isn't just about physical solitude. Sigma males don't need emotional hand-holding either. They don't seek constant reassurance, don't feel the urge to overshare, and don't rely on others to validate their choices. That level of independence can feel almost inhuman to someone who constantly leans on others for emotional support. Instead of being impressed, they feel uneasy, as if they're dealing with someone who operates on a different frequency because they are. This is why social-dependent people either admire Sigma males or resent them. They admire them because deep down, they wish they had that level of self-sufficiency. They resent them because it highlights their own fears, the fear of being alone with their own thoughts, of not having someone to constantly lean on, of realizing they might not even know themselves without the influence of others. A Sigma male doesn't have that fear. He mastered solitude long ago, and his ability to exist without constant companionship makes people question their own dependency in a way that's hard to ignore. Number 3, their presence alone shifts the dynamics of a room. Most people enter a room and blend into the existing social rhythm. Conversations flow the same. The usual dynamics stay intact and everything continues as expected. But when a Sigma male walks in, something shifts. No grand entrance, no attention-seeking gestures, just pure, silent presence. People sense it before they even turn their heads. The energy changes, and suddenly there's an awareness of him. This isn't about arrogance or dominance. Sigma males don't try to command attention. They simply exist in a way that makes others take notice. It's the way they move, calm, deliberate, unaffected. The way they observe rather than rush to insert themselves into the noise. The way they don't shrink but also don't posture. They don't demand space, yet somehow it expands around them. People unconsciously adjust. Some lower their voices, suddenly more aware of their own words. Others grow restless, sensing something different but not quite knowing why. The socially dominant individuals, the ones used to controlling the room, sometimes test the waters, trying to assert their usual influence. But there's no predictable response. A Sigma male doesn't react the way people expect. He doesn't engage in forced small talk, doesn't over-explain himself, and definitely doesn't seek approval. This disrupts the natural social script, making others second-guess how to interact with him. The effect is subtle, but undeniable. Some people feel drawn in, intrigued by the unshakable presence. Others feel unsettled, unsure whether they should feel admiration or intimidation. It's not that Sigma males intend to throw off the social balance, it just happens. Because in a world where most people signal their intentions, emotions, and insecurities through every movement and word, a man who carries himself with silent, effortless certainty is rare. And what's rare is always felt. Number 4, they have a hidden depth that people can sense but can't figure out. Most people are like open books. You can read their intentions, emotions, and thoughts just by observing how they act. Sigma males aren't like that. There's something beneath the surface that people sense but can't quite figure out. It's not that they're trying to be mysterious, they simply don't operate on the same level of emotional transparency as everyone else. They don't overshare, they don't broadcast their feelings, and they don't feel the need to explain themselves. This leaves people wondering what's really going on inside his head. That question alone is enough to create a quiet tension. In social settings, people are used to picking up on cues, expressions, body language, tone of voice. These cues help them navigate interactions and understand where they stand with someone. But a Sigma male doesn't give them much to work with. He's observant but not easy to read, engaged but not overly expressive. This throws people off because it disrupts their usual way of interpreting others. They know there's more to him, but since he doesn't reveal it, they're left with a mix of curiosity and unease. Some people find this deeply intriguing. They want to dig deeper, to uncover what makes him tick, to understand the layers beneath his composed exterior. They might even test him, trying to provoke a reaction just to see if they can break through. Others, however, find it unsettling. They feel like they're dealing with someone who holds all his cards close to his chest, someone who knows more than he lets on. That kind of quiet depth can be intimidating because it suggests a level of self-awareness and control that most people don't have. At the core of it, a Sigma male's mystery isn't an act, it's just who he is. He doesn't see the need to explain his thoughts, emotions, or past experiences to anyone who hasn't earned that access. And in a world where people are used to constant exposure, where everyone shares everything all the time, that restraint makes him stand out. Not by force, not by effort, but simply because true depth is rare. And people don't know how to handle what they can't fully understand. Number 5, they don't laugh just to be polite. Most people laugh out of social obligation. A joke doesn't have to be funny. If it comes from the right person in the right setting, the polite thing to do is chuckle, nod, and act amused. It keeps the conversation flowing, keeps egos intact, and avoids awkwardness. A Sigma male doesn't care about any of that. If something isn't genuinely funny, he won't force a reaction. He won't fake enthusiasm just to smooth things over. And that kind of brutal honesty can make people very uncomfortable. Some see it as a challenge. They're used to being the funny one, the charismatic one, the center of attention. Their jokes always land, people always laugh until they hit a Sigma male. The lack of automatic validation makes them second-guess themselves. Was it actually funny? Am I as charming as I thought? That moment of doubt is enough to shake even the most socially confident person. Others mistake it for arrogance. They assume the Sigma male is looking down on them, being cold or intentionally killing the mood, but that's not the case. It's not that he doesn't want to engage, it's that he refuses to be fake. If he finds something genuinely funny, his reaction is real and unfiltered. If not, he won't force a smile just to stroke someone's ego. That kind of authenticity is rare, and in a world where most people survive on social niceties, it can feel harsh. The irony is this makes Sigma males even more intriguing. Their laughter, when it does happen, actually means something. It's not handed out like a participation trophy, it's earned. And those who recognize this don't feel intimidated, they feel challenged. Because making a Sigma male truly laugh, that's a moment worth remembering. And number 6, they don't sugarcoat reality. Most people filter their words to avoid discomfort. They soften the truth, add a little fluff, and say what others want to hear rather than what they need to hear. A Sigma male doesn't do that. He speaks in straight lines. No extra layers, no sugarcoating. If something is a bad idea, he'll say so. If someone is being delusional, he won't nod along just to be polite. This kind of raw honesty can feel like a slap in the face to people who are used to living in a bubble of comforting lies. Some appreciate it. They recognize that a Sigma male isn't being cruel, he's just saying what others are too afraid to. But many don't know how to handle it. They expect reassurance, validation, or at least some diplomatic phrasing to make the truth more digestible. Instead, they get reality delivered with surgical precision. And reality, when it's stripped of all its pleasantries, can be deeply unsettling. This is why Sigma males often make people uncomfortable without even trying. It's not just what they say, it's how they say it. There's no hesitation, no nervous backtracking, no attempt to soften the impact. That kind of confidence in the truth is rare, and it makes people realize how much they rely on sugar-coated versions of reality to get through life. In social settings, this can create tension. A Sigma male won't indulge in false compliments, won't pretend a bad idea is brilliant just to be nice, and won't tell someone they're right when they clearly aren't. This forces people to confront reality in ways they might not be ready for. Some respect him for it, others resent him, but nobody forgets him. Because in a world full of carefully packaged words and half-truths, a man who says things exactly as they are is impossible to ignore. Number 7, they don't try to be liked, which ironically makes people crave their approval. Most people, whether they admit it or not, adjust their behavior to be more likable. They laugh a little extra, agree a little more, and shape their words to fit what others want to hear. A Sigma male doesn't do that. He has no interest in earning approval or being liked just for the sake of it. If someone enjoys his presence, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. This complete detachment from social validation has a strange effect. It makes people want his approval even more. It's human nature to want what we can't have. The moment someone doesn't try to impress us, we instinctively wonder why. Most people hand out approval so easily that when someone withholds it, it becomes valuable. A Sigma male's lack of effort in winning people over creates a subtle power shift. Instead of him seeking validation from others, others start seeking it from him. This can be frustrating for people who are used to being the center of attention. They're accustomed to admiration, compliments, and easy approval. But a Sigma male isn't impressed by status, charm, or social games. He doesn't react the way they expect. This uncertainty makes them work harder to earn his respect, sometimes without even realizing it. Even in casual settings, his detachment creates an aura of intrigue. People start paying attention to what he thinks, trying to decipher his reactions, even subtly competing for his acknowledgement. It's not because he manipulates or plays hard to get, it's because his self-sufficiency is rare. Most people crave external validation, he doesn't. And that makes him stand out in a way that no amount of forced charm or social performance ever could. Number 8, they have nothing to prove. Most people, whether consciously or not, spend their lives trying to prove something. They chase status to feel important, flaunt achievements to be respected, or assert dominance to feel powerful. A Sigma male does none of that. He moves through life with the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need external validation. He's not trying to be the best in the room, the loudest voice, or the most admired because he doesn't care to be, and that's exactly what makes him so intimidating. When a man has nothing to prove, he becomes impossible to control. You can't manipulate him with praise, status, or social pressure. He doesn't seek approval, so he's not afraid to lose it. He doesn't crave validation, so he's not easily swayed. This level of self-sufficiency is rare, and it disrupts the way people are used to interacting. Most social dynamics are built on the silent exchange of validation. I'll respect you if you impress me. I'll like you if you conform to my expectations. But a Sigma male doesn't play by those rules. He respects himself first, and whether others do or not is irrelevant. This unnerves people who are used to having leverage over others. The boss who thrives on authority, the socialite who feeds on admiration, the alpha who asserts dominance, none of their usual tactics work on a Sigma. He won't bend to impress, won't fake respect, and won't compete for attention. His presence alone is a reminder that real confidence isn't about proving yourself to others, it's about never needing to. And in a world full of people chasing validation, a man who simply is, without seeking approval from anyone, is one of the most intimidating forces there is. Number 9. They can walk away from anything without hesitation. Most people stay in situations longer than they should. They hold on to toxic relationships, draining jobs, and pointless conversations because they're afraid of what happens if they let go. Fear of judgment, discomfort with change, or just plain attachment keeps them stuck. A Sigma male, he doesn't have that problem. If something isn't serving him, mentally, emotionally, or even just logically, he walks away. No hesitation, no second guessing, no guilt. And that terrifies people who can't do the same. The idea that someone can just leave without emotional turmoil is unsettling to those who are wired for attachment. Most people crave approval and stability, even if it comes at a cost. They put up with nonsense because they're afraid of burning bridges or looking like the bad guy. But a Sigma male isn't tied down by those fears. He doesn't need anyone's permission to move on. If a job undervalues him, he's gone. If a relationship turns into a one-sided energy drain, he checks out. If a conversation bores him, he's already thinking about his exit, and he doesn't look back. This ability makes others uneasy because it forces them to confront their own fears. Why can't I do that? Why do I feel trapped while he moves so freely? It's not that he lacks emotions, it's that he refuses to let them control him. His detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. He knows his worth, he knows his boundaries, and he knows that staying in the wrong place out of fear or obligation is never worth it. People who thrive on power, control, or emotional dependence struggle with this the most. They're used to others being tethered by fear of consequences, loneliness, or instability. But a Sigma male, he doesn't fear loss because he doesn't base his identity on external things. He owns himself completely, and that kind of freedom, it shakes people to their core. Number 10, they aren't impressed by surface-level achievements. Most people chase external success because deep down, they want validation. The flashy car, the high-status job, the social media following, it's all designed to impress, to create a sense of importance, and for the most part, it works. People admire those who look successful, who wear the right labels and drop the right names, but a Sigma male, he's not impressed. Status symbols, luxury, and social clout don't move him in the slightest. And that makes people who rely on these things feel small. It's not that he disrespects ambition, it's that he sees through the illusion. He knows that power and wealth don't automatically make someone valuable, that a title doesn't equal intelligence, that popularity doesn't mean depth. So when someone tries to flex their status in front of him expecting admiration, all they get is indifference. And that kills them. Because their usual tricks, the ones that work on everyone else, don't even make him blink. This creates an uncomfortable realization for those who define themselves by external success. If this doesn't impress him, then what actually matters? Sigma males force people to confront the possibility that they've been chasing hollow things, that their identity is built on validation rather than substance. And that thought is unsettling. This is why high-status individuals often feel uneasy around Sigmas. They're used to being admired, to having influence over people who want what they have. But when they meet someone who couldn't care less, someone who measures value in depth, not dollars, it throws them off balance. because deep down they fear the truth Sigma males have already accepted. If you need admiration to feel important, then you were never important to begin with. True intimidation isn't about size, volume, or aggression. It's about presence. Sigma males don't demand respect. They command it without trying. Their silence speaks louder than words. Their detachment shakes up social dynamics, and their self-sufficiency disrupts the very foundation most people stand on. They don't chase validation. They don't engage in meaningless noise, and they don't reveal more than necessary. And that's exactly what makes them so powerful. In a world obsessed with attention, a man who couldn't care less about it stands out the most. He doesn't try to fit in, yet people feel his absence when he leaves. He doesn't seek approval, yet others crave his validation. He doesn't impose his presence, yet the entire room shifts when he walks in. That level of quiet dominance isn't just rare, it's unshakable. And whether people admire it, fear it, or envy it, one thing is certain, they never forget it. If you made it this far, you already know. This isn't just another channel. We don't do clichés, we don't do fluff. And we definitely don't do watered-down truths. If you're the kind of person who craves raw, unfiltered insights that actually challenge the way you think, then hit that subscribe button. Because here's the thing. Most people go through life blind to the power of presence, unaware of the silent forces that shape respect, attraction, and influence. But not you. You see the difference. You feel it. And if that resonates, then you already belong here. So subscribe now. Not because I'm asking, but because deep down you know this is exactly the kind of content you've been looking for. And trust me, what's coming next, you won't want to miss it. Bye for now and see you in the next video.